Tonight on KBR News, saying goodbye, how UT and the City of Austin are honoring Coach Mack Brown.
But my weather forecast you cannot contradict.
Will it be 6 more weeks of winter or is spring on the way? The groundhog forecast is coming up.
And upset alert, number 25 Texas takes down number 6 Kansas. We'll break down the huge victory ahead on KBR News.
Austin's leader for live, local, UT coverage starts right now.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KBR News at 9, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening. You're watching KBR News for Monday, February 3rd. I'm Alex Wilkins.
And I'm Morgan Williams. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, it's the end of an era. Coach Mack Brown has left the Longhorn football team after 16 seasons. UT student government joined the City of Austin Thursday to honor the outgoing coach and his wife, Sally.
Coach, I think and I hope that you know how much you and Sally mean to the people of the state of Texas.
Senator Kirk Watson and Mayor Lee Leffingwell hosted UT student government's AR-26 at City Hall. President Horatio Villarreal presented the legislation to recognize Mack Brown's service to Texas football and the community.
We're here today to recognize what I and countless Texans and people across the actual country and world would deem one of the best football coaches of all time, Mr. Brown.
In addition to student government's recognition, Mayor Lee Leffingwell officially declared it Mack and Sally Brown Day.
Therefore, I, Lee Leffingwell, Mayor of the City of Austin, Texas, do hereby proclaim January 31st, 2014 as Mack and Sally Brown Day in Austin, Texas.
After weeks of stepping away from the spotlight, Coach Brown spoke publicly, wrapping up his career as head coach.
From Sally and myself, thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing us for the small part we've had in such a wonderful, wonderful state, city, and university. When we look at 16 years of wonderful memories and tremendous friends, it's been a great ride.
The mayor concluded the presentation, thanking Brown for his service and the second most wins in school history.
Thank you both very much for all you've done for the City of Austin. Don't forget, the eyes of Texas are always upon you.
Mack Brown has been replaced by Charlie Strong, former head coach of the Louisville Cardinals.
We're now well into election season with primaries just 1 month away, and the organization on campus stepped up today to help get students registered to vote. Hook the Vote has served as the primary force for voter registration at UT since 2008. It's a nonpartisan group led by student government and other organizations to make sure the voices of UT students are heard. Today is the last day to register to vote in the upcoming elections. There is still time to register if you haven't already. Just head to Gregory Gem before midnight tonight. Well, the next presidential election is still far in the distance, but there's already speculation about who the potential candidates could be. Former presidential hopeful Mike Huckabee is now the Republican frontrunner, according to a new poll. The public policy polling survey released Wednesday shows the former Arkansas governor leading with 16% of the vote. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, brother of George W., comes in second with 14%, followed by Chris Christie with 13% and Rand Paul with 11%. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, 2012 vice presidential nominee Paul Ryan, and U.S. Senator Marco Rubio have 8% each. Huckabee gained the lead shortly after speaking at the RNC winter meeting.
15 states have now passed immigrant tuition laws that allow students to be eligible for in-state college tuition. The statutes apply to students living in the U.S. without legal permission, who were brought here as children by their parents. In order to qualify, students must graduate from a high school in the state. They must also be a resident of the state for at least 2 or 3 years. Texas is one of those states with an immigration tuition law. An estimated 65,000 students living illegally in the country graduate each year from high school. About 5 to 10% of them go on to college. And we told you last week about the State Board of Education's removal of Algebra 2 as a requirement for high school graduation. The board also voted Friday to overhaul the high school curriculum. Currently, students must pass the 4x4 plan, meaning 4 years of math, science, English, and social studies. The new system will replace that, encouraging more career preparation by giving students the choice of 5 different pathways called endorsements. Those pathways will cater to interests including arts and humanities, business and industry, and public services. The changes will take effect for 9th graders in fall 2014. We reached out to board member Martha Dominguez. She says it's now up to local school districts to partner up with universities and industries to help prepare our students for whatever they select. It's going to look different throughout the state. That Algebra 2 course, by the way, no longer a requirement for all high schoolers, but it still must be taken in order to qualify for a top 10% ranking and automatic admission to universities in Texas.
In December, the Austin City Council proposed lowering occupancy limits for 6 non-related adults to 4, and now many students are concerned that housing prices could rise.
Parking, trash, and noise. Those are the problems students living in family neighborhoods cause. But there's now a bigger concern for those families: stealth dorms. The term stealth dorm refers to a house or duplex where more than 4 unrelated adults reside. As Austin continues to grow and housing prices go up, developers have started knocking down smaller homes to build more dorm-style housing. Austin City Council member Chris Riley says this is why the city wants to change occupancy limits.
Regular single-family homes being demolished and replaced with housing that really is not intended for single families and likely will never actually serve single families, even though they are in single-family neighborhoods.
Cracking down on stealth dorms may be better for families, but it means less housing for students. Lucy Griswold lives in North Campus with 9 roommates. She's concerned about rising rent prices.
Cost is definitely a huge motivator. There's not only 10 people living in this house, but I'm sharing a room with someone, and that keeps the price really low.
Students like Griswold are why UT government leaders like John Brown hope to prevent the new ordinance from going through.
Rent is enormous in West and North Campus. It's not cheap to live there. So people live together to cut that rent in half, and it's cheaper if you do it that way. And for a lot of people, it's just not going to be affordable. That's not right.
Andrew Houston says the resolution SG has created will encourage City Council to work with students.
It's at least a step in the right direction, and we are at least going to be involved.
Councilman Riley wants just that.
We absolutely need to bring students into the process. In fact, the last time I authored a resolution on this, we actually modified the language to specifically include to bring students to the table. As we figure out what to do about the stealth dorms, students are right there as part of the conversation.
City Council will hold a public forum on the occupancy limits proposal on February 13th. For continuing updates on this story, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News. More than 2,000 people have signed a petition to preserve natural history on campus. We reported last semester about the College of Natural Sciences plans to cut $600 million from the Texas Natural Sciences Center. Those budget cuts will affect the on-campus Texas Memorial Museum, and museum staff could be reduced from 11 to just 3 employees. The college has reduced museum funding over the past few years in light of state budget cuts. Signers of the petition hope it will encourage Natural Sciences Dean Linda Hickey to restore funding to the museum and find other ways to cut the budget.
Still to come, the popular SoCo food trucks have found a new home. Find out where you'll be able to picnic.
And did he see his shadow? The big weather forecast everyone's talking about ahead on KBR News.
You're watching KBR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KBR News. The Girl Scouts of USA is facing criticism after a tweet last month linking to a Huffington Post article about influential women. One of the women mentioned, abortion rights advocate Senator Wendy Davis. Last Thursday, Pro-Life Waco announced a national Girl Scout cookie boycott. The Girl Scouts of Central Texas say the tweet was meant to be innocent.
Our official stance is we don't endorse any political parties or candidates, nor do we fund any programs that are not Girl Scout based. You know, we've been associated with Planned Parenthood too by other people, and we always want to make it clear that those conversations are best left between girls and their family.
The Girl Scouts of USA issued an official apology last Wednesday saying, while our intentions were good, many of our followers and the public at large raised concerns about the content they were driven to via our social channels. We listened and would like to take a moment to sincerely apologize to anyone we have offended.
The popular food trucks that lost their spot on South Congress will soon have a new place to call home. The Picnic Food Trailer Park is expected to open next month. The Kurt Simmons Company is opening the lot just east of Chewy's on Barton Springs Road. The park will be host to 8 food trucks in total, including Hey Cupcake, Mrs. P's, and Mighty Cone. A new farmers market is coming to Austin. Development Group 11E5 will use more than $330,000 to renovate an old furniture store east of I-35 near Plaza Saltillo. The corporation will receive a loan from Austin's Family Business Loan Program to support the project, which is dubbed Fair Market. The farmers market will meet once or twice a week, and the space can be rented out for events when not in use. Developers are hoping to add a cafe and retail spaces in the future.
The famous Houston Astrodome has been designated a National Historic Place in an effort to keep the stadium from being torn down. The designation is mostly honorary, and alone, it will not be enough to prevent the demolition of the world's first multi-purpose domed stadium. The Astrodome has been closed to all events for nearly 5 years. The stadium is still structurally sound, but has fallen into disrepair. The fate of the so-called eighth wonder of the world has remained uncertain since voters in November rejected a $217 million bond to redevelop the site into a convention center. The National Historic Place designation means any effort to revamp the stadium can be eligible for federal and state tax credits. The Astrodome first opened back in 1965.
Well, MetLife Stadium was packed last night as thousands of fans joined millions at home to watch the Seattle Seahawks crush the Denver Broncos 43-8 in Super Bowl 48. A record 111.5 million viewers made the game the most watched TV show in U.S. history.
But not everyone was focusing on the game. Doritos, Coca-Cola, and Budweiser, just some of the big-name brands, paying up millions just for a 30-second ad spot. But was it all worth it? Caviar asked students on campus what they thought about last night's ads.
I love the Budweiser commercial with the horse and the puppy. It was sweet and touching, and it was wonderful, yeah.
My favorite was the Radio Shack one where they said the 80s called and they want their store back. And they all came rushing in and stuff.
Coke one. Easy as that.
I didn't get to watch the Super Bowl.
I really liked the Goldie Box commercial because I feel like it's very empowering to young women and to little girls especially.
So Morgan, which one was your favorite Super Bowl commercial?
I have to pick the puppy one by Budweiser because I'm a huge dog lover and I can't resist.
Absolutely. I agree that one was very cute, but I thought most of them were just somewhat mediocre this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is unfortunate when that happens. Well, February is Black History Month, and Austin Community College celebrated Saturday with its 14th annual Gospel Extravaganza. The public showcase exposes the audience to different forms of praise and worship in the African American Church. ACC Community Outreach Director Loretta Eadlin says the Extravaganza is an opportunity for residents to see the diverse talent here in Austin.
There's a wide range, whether it's in praise dance or the younger young ladies singing and sharing their voices. I mean, it's always uplifting to hear folks of every age.
Want to keep up to date with Greek life on campus? There's an app for that. Greek Link is a new social app developed by UT sophomore Ari Gutnick. The purpose is to provide a place where students can connect in a more organized manner. Gutnick says the app allows the Greek community to interact on a diverse level.
We feel like we're changing how people interact and how Greek life works at universities. And it's a positive environment. It's a place where we can actually come together and connect with one another right on your smartphone.
The app is available to purchase right now from Apple devices.
UT student-run radio station KBRX is about to hold its yearly pledge drive. Blake Carter reports on why this year donations are more important than ever.
Since 1994, FM listeners have been tuning in to KBRX 91.7. Over the last 20-plus years, this student-run radio station has stayed on the air thanks in part to their listener support.
So we're coming up on the annual KBRX Pledge Drive. It's a chance for the listeners to give some financial support to the station.
Surpass says the donations will act as a safety net for when KBRX has any financial needs outside of their annual budget, which is used to maintain the station and the vast library. And donations are just as important this year after news had surfaced that Texas Student Media would move under the domain of the Moody College of Communication, leaving the station's future uncertain.
We're still trying to determine what the impact of the move to the College of Communication, the Moody College, will be. It's still something that's being worked out. I think that at this point, the pledge drive will still have the same importance as it has in the past.
This year's Pledge Drive co-directors are Arthur De Vitalis and Scott Reigel, and their mission is to keep locals aware of the Pledge Drive as well as to seek local businesses for help.
To me, it's really important to keep this sort of thing going. You know, this is the only station of its kind that I know of here in Austin that is quite to the level of, you know, the independent music that we play.
It's just always best to put your best foot forward and say, look, we're here, we're an institution, we matter, and we want to keep going how we're going.
Blake Carter, KBR News.
The pledge drive runs from this Saturday through the 21st. For more information, you can head to the station website, kbrx.org. Well, get ready for 6 more weeks of winter, at least according to Punxsutawney Phil. The famous groundhog saw his shadow yesterday, meaning winter weather will continue, at least according to folklore. Phil's website says he issued a correct forecast 100% of the time, but according to the National Climatic Data Center, Phil's forecasts have shown no actual predictive skill. According to AccuWeather.com, Phil has about an 80% accuracy rate. Luqman Adeniyi will have our weather forecast coming up.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KBR News tip line, 475-8181.
Welcome back to KBR News. I'm Luqman Adeniyi. While we had cold temperatures today, only reaching 46 degrees this afternoon, but we're in for a warm-up tomorrow before a return to cold weather once again midweek. Tonight we've got a 60% chance of rain, so grab an umbrella if you're heading out the door this evening. We'll be getting a tease of warm weather tomorrow, reaching a high of 71 degrees. We do have a 30% chance of rain in the morning. Along with some patchy fog, it will be a windy Wednesday with gusts up to 20 miles per hour. The day will be partly sunny with a high of 49 degrees, but then the weather cools down to a chilling 28 degrees overnight. Thursday proves our groundhog friend right with a chance of a wintry mix of sleet and freezing rain that could last through Friday morning. We won't make it out of the 30s on Thursday before freezing once again Thursday night. Friday will remain cold, only reaching into the mid-40s. The cool weather will last through the weekend with highs in the upper 40s to low 50s. We'll also get a 30% chance of rain again on Saturday. So for those hoping for any closures with the freezing precipitation coming, it looks like Thursday or Friday will be your best bet.
Thanks, Luqman. I am not very excited about that cold rain.
Yeah.
Still to come, Joshua Blount is here to talk Longhorn basketball. It was a huge victory this past weekend. We'll break down the victory. You're watching KBR News.
Now, KBR News at 9 Sports.
Welcome back to KBR News. I'm College Press Box's Joshua Blount. Texas football may have underperformed this season on the field, but the earnings show Texas athletics is still ranked as one of the nation's top college earners. Contributions to the athletic program in the 2012-2013 season actually fell by $3 million, but despite the decrease, the operating revenue increased $2.4 million. That brings the total revenue to a new record of more than $165 million. Switching to basketball, the number 25 Texas Longhorns faced arguably their toughest match of the season Saturday, number 6 Kansas. After the game, Coach Barnes and players reacted to the stunning win. Jonathan Holmes said yes. Cameron Ridley said, "Are you kidding me?" Even Prince eBay was about that action as the Longhorns pulled off a stunning, dominating win against the Kansas Jayhawks.
They went out and earned it. They worked hard. They deserve this kind of atmosphere, and I told them that they deserve it, but they went out to earn it, and they had to do that.
They were more prepared to play than we were. They looked fresher. They're faster than we are to start with, but certainly they looked even more or looked even fresher than we did. And it was pretty much a dominating performance, I think, by the Longhorns over us today.
And if Texas beating Kansas wasn't enough of a shocker, how about Texas freshman Isaiah Taylor looking like the All-American, outplaying highly touted Andrew Wiggins by being, quote, the best player on the court?
I thought Taylor was by far the best player in the game.
He's fast. He played really good today. It was a big key to their win, and he played really good.
Isaiah sets the tone every game. And I tell him before every game that he has to be aggressive because everybody feeds off of him on offense. And if he can put pressure on the defense and driving those lanes, he'll open up shots for Reagan. Really didn't matter. When we step on the court, it's a whole other deal, and everybody just competing. And today, that's what we did.
Mistaken. Most people that rate these players are media people.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying most media people don't know how to rate players.
Good.
Well, if the media doesn't know how to rank players, let's hope the Horns don't start to believe the hype. As Coach Barnes believes, they still have a lot to prove.
I told a guy that's the fun part about this. Now I said you'll find out how good and how tough you really are. You know, I mean, this group is they're growing and they're going to start to deal with some things, and we'll see.
All right, thanks, Joshua. Hopefully the Horns can keep up that win streak. Up next, Nita Mandar has a look at your entertainment news.
You're watching KBR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KBR News. Sad news to report tonight. Actor Philip Seymour Hoffman has died at the age of 46. He was found dead yesterday in his New York apartment after an apparent drug overdose, according to local police. Authorities say Hoffman was found in the bathroom with a needle sticking out of his left arm. His family has released a statement saying, "We are devastated by the loss of our beloved Phil and appreciate the outpouring of love and support." Hoffman is perhaps best known for his title role in the movie Capote. He was also in the middle of filming the two-part conclusion of the Hunger Games series. The production company says he only had 7 days of shooting left on part 2 of Mockingjay. It's unclear how his death will affect the films, which will still be released as previously scheduled. If any person can show just cause why Hermione and Ron may not be joined together, speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, the Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling seems to be speaking up herself. Fans of the series know that characters Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger end up married with 2 kids. But in an interview with Wonderland magazine, Rowling says she wrote the Hermione-Ron relationship as a form of wish fulfillment. Rowling said that's how it was conceived for reasons that have very little to do with literature and far more to do with me clinging to the plot as I first imagined it. The author said she wishes that Hermione had actually ended up with title character Harry Potter. And that's all for your entertainment news this week. I'm Nita Mandar.
Thanks, Nita. And thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Alex Wilkins. For news and weather updates, throughout the week, you can follow us on Twitter at KBR News. Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television. Thank you and have a great night.